Hey, hello everybody, welcome to the Sound Test Room. Today we are taking a pre-release look at AudioScope, the live channel mixer from 4Pockets. So Paul, simply a work of genius this is. Actually, yeah, we bandied the word game changer around, but this really is. So before I get into the nitty gritty and explain how some of this works, okay, so this won't be like a full in-depth deep dive tutorial, but this will give you enough information to get you going and if it's something that you would want to use. Now, it's not just for AUM. It will work in Cubase's, GarageBand, Loopy Pro, and pretty much anything you like. But I'll show you how it works in AUM and how you can set it up in AUM. It's very easy. Before I start, I'll give you a quick demo of how it works, and then we'll set up a completely fresh project from scratch so you can get a further idea of how it works. Okay, let's go. I'm just going to start with these. You see we have a Noir drums and a House Mark 1. Let's go. And open my snapshots. And I'm going to close the microphone and yeah, let you experience this. Oh. If you're not wearing headphones, go and get some. We're back at where we started. Right, okay. Let's show you how this works. Right, okay, so you can build up tracks. You can have them play file player, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, whatever you have playing here. What you want to be doing is adding an instance of AudioScope here at the last part of the chain. So for example, if you've got some effects before a particular instrument, AudioScope needs to be the last thing afterwards, and you want to be setting AudioScope here post fader. Okay, so this is important. If you can set it post fader, set it post fader, and then set all the mix levels in AUM, for example, to be exactly the same. So you'll be good to go. So you've got a couple of synth masters here. We've got a hammerhead. Let me go back to AudioScope here so you can see. I am going to go back to one of my snapshots, maybe number 3 here. There we go. You'll see some being brought back up in volume. And we can control the mix and position of any of these instruments all on one screen. You only need to open one instance of any instance of AudioScope and it will be the same. You can close this one, for example, and we can open this up and we can hit mix here and you'll see our mix is there. Now you're controlling, you'll see it says controlling hit. Now you're controlling synth master, another synth master which is doing a bass sequence, House Mark 2, Noir drums, for example, all this kind of stuff. So for example, on bass sequence, if we play, I can lower the and you can place bass sequence anywhere in the stereo field or its volume. Now, you obviously can still hear these other instruments. So we have scaling here. If we open settings, go to our live mixer options, you have the the dB range of the graph here. So if we go to 30 or maybe 50 or even up to 80, you don't need to go that far, but so we'll probably get away with much less than that. So if we go to our settings again and go to our live mix options here, probably be 50 would be fine. And if we want to bring any of them back and we're out of scale, we can either use our snapshot that we may have taken, or we can just bring back in the settings here for live mix options, and there you go. So what can we do? Look, if we select our bass sequence, for example, down here we have an EQ. So for whatever is selected will be an EQ, and you can also compare it to another instrument. So for instance, we could compare it to noir drums, or just none at the moment, but we now have an EQ for our bass sequence. We've also got a shelf. Then we have peak. So 3 filters we can add. Then we also have a compressor. We can control the attack and the release. What's brilliant about this is it's all visual. You can also sidechain any of the other instruments to it, like really quick. You have look ahead as well. We have ratio settings. We have a DC filter, which cuts out low hum. You can also invert the phase, or you can bypass the thing, or you can bypass the whole thing by passing pass, or you can just bypass the bass sequence and hear what it sounded like through AUM. Just awesome stuff. Let's go back to our mix. I'll bring some of these up into range, and then here we go. You'll also notice that if we overload, see we're getting a bit of red there. We know that particular channel is overloading, and we could actually go in and say, well, we've selected it anyway. Let's go into our compressor. And you can control it from there. you have a mix bar here. If you quickly tap the mix bar, you'll get these options. Now you can compare up to 3 mixes. So if you do a mix, you could go right, mix saved. I don't know what this mix was. Okay, you can, whatever you're selected on here, you can mute or mute it, solo or mute it. You can choose to increase the stereo width. So if we solo it, and you can assign it to a group. So select a group to assign this track. Well, it's keys, so we could assign it to keys. Choose this synth master, assign that to keys, and this bass sequence, we can assign that to, say, I don't know, bass. And then when you go to group filter, you can go drums, snare drums and hammerhead. We go keys, we've got our keys there, or just all again. Now this becomes handy. So AudioScope will deal with up to 32 tracks, and we're only using 6 tracks here. So I think the best thing to do to give you an idea is to set something up from scratch. So I'm just going to save this session again, save my session, and I'm going to create a new session, and I'll be back in just a sec when I've set my microphone up again. Okay, so here we are. I've reset my microphone up with a completely blank project. So first thing, let's just add a MIDI track here. Let's go in and add Zoa in, and now this will work obviously with files and things. I'll show you that as well, I think. So we've got our audio unit extension. Let's just bung in Synth Master. And let's connect this up to Zoa. So we'll just use channel 1 and send that to Synth Master. And hopefully now we just need to pick a sound. Let's go and find one, shall we? Something, we'll choose something that I did. We'll choose my, where is it? Pulse lead thing that I did yesterday. That's quite good. And so before I add any more, to keep this kind of logical so you understand what's going on, the first thing I'm going to do is go in here and add in a AudioScope. Okay, then I'm going to long hold on here because I can set this to post fader inside of AUM and it's fine. And if I open up, now this is important, you get these are the important parts, and this is the thing you have to repeat for each channel, of course. So we'll open this up. Let's open it up full screen. If I put mix in now and I long hold, AudioScope 1 will appear here. And this is our, let's just do this. This is our mix for our Synth Master and Zoa. It's a good idea to name this. So I'll call this Synth Master Master Pulse. And I'll just hit set. So now it's renamed. So this is your volume, and don't forget, if you need more scale, more control over the volume, you just need to go into settings here, live mix options, live mix graph, set it to 30, be fine, or 50, and you can completely take the volume out. But that's up to you, you can do that. Okay. Here you have your EQ. I'll smooth this up a little bit. This is your EQ, and this is for whatever is selected here. Okay, So you'll see it's changed to mode EQ. Then there's the mix window. Then there's the shelf. Then the peak settings. Then the compression. Now let's go and sort out Zoa, which has got itself stuck in a loop. And then let's add in not a riff, sorry, atom. And I'm going to add in some strings here. First of all, I'm going to connect riff up. So I'll turn that down. I'll connect riff atom up to so MIDI inputs we want to be our keyboard, and MIDI output wants to be to the second synth master. And I just want to go and find some sort of pad sound. We'll use one of mine. Okay. And same thing again, I'm going to add in an AudioScope, long hold, set to post fader. I'm going to call this strings. Here we go. And I'm going to record some stuff in for that. Wait till it comes back around. Again, now we've got if we select this now, tap on our mix bar and go to stereo, we can make our strings nice and wide. Okay, and let's go and put in a kick drum. From Noir. So we'll just set this up first. Let's add this in. So to add it, you just long hold the mix and it'll appear when you add a new one. We'll just call this kick. And if we choose strings now, go into our compressor and choose to sidechain this to the kick. Oh wait. We can sidechain the strings to the kick. If you long hold the mix bar, you get the stereo view. So we can go back into Synth Master here. Add some reverb to that. So imagine that you've got like loads of stuff going on in your mix now. Let's go to snapshots now. So say for instance, this is the beginning of your track. This is your intro to your track, right? And you want to set up a snapshot. Okay. So what you do is you long hold. Okay, go clear snapshot. Because these are remembered from the other ones. Long hold, and let's say we want a, I don't know, maybe a 6-second transition for this snapshot. We can move that out of the way. We can set up a long hold. Let's set up a 4-second one for that. And now if we go between 1 and 2, you can overwrite. Maybe that kick's a bit loud. Long hold, just go overwrite. We'll say, yeah, we'll have that as 5. And then we can make more adjustments. So number 3, 8 seconds just for fun. Now these can be instant, they don't have to have a glide time. Second. And again, you can bring in your mix options. Just at 1 sec. Just set another one quickly. Instant. Excuse me. So we could go and say, let's make some adjustments to our EQ on our strings. And then you have VU meters here with RMS or peak. Frequency. You also have different graph modes. You also have a compare mode, so you can say, well, okay, if we on EQ, and we want to compare it to the kick, you'll get an overlay. That, or we can compare it to the strings. Different settings which you've seen. Long hold, you can change the colors. Custom color set apparently. So there you go, guys. There was a quick introduction, really, a quick look around AudioScope. You can, of course, have up to 32 instruments been mixed, and this is where things like the group filtering comes in really handy. Don't forget, quick tap on the mix bar lets you control. You can compare different mixes. And they're remembered from the previous settings as well, so you can just make adjustments really fast as you've seen. Your stereo control for stereo widening. This is like where you could assign, say, the kick to the drums, etc. Solo and mute. This will move up. I think it's in half dB increments, the volume. Like that, the whole loop, move up the entire mix sort of thing. Yeah, like I said, pass through will bypass the entire thing. If you just on one particular instrument, like we're highlighted on a kick, this will just bypass the kick and just take the kick out the equation, put it, you'll just hear it through AUM, or whatever, Cubasis or whatever you're in. Options, what we got for options here: enable live mix, disable live mix, reset mix settings. There is also, there is a way when you've got loads of them and you can just select, I want to see everything that's in the mix sort of thing as well, instead of having to add them one by one when you've added instruments, etc. Paul's done a really good intro video that you can watch as well. So there you go, AudioScope, bit of a game changer, I think. I'm playing this now. So all you do, like I said, it's very simple. All you do is add another channel. Maybe we can add in something from the file player. Let's upload a file. There we go. Speech mail, just some cool stuff.
Look, Doc, I think somebody ought to stay with it.
Okay. That's a bit short, isn't it? Let's see. Oh, we'll add that anyway, so that's fine. I'll have it loop as well. I'll just add this in now. So AudioScope. I'll make sure I'm on post fader. There we go, post fader. I can use this one as well and just go to AudioScope 4. Let's close this. Just tap mix. Just long hold mix to add AudioScope 4. I'll just call this. It's important to name them, because if you've got a lot going on, you're going to get confused, So as you would if you were using a normal mixer sort of thing. Sample, vocal sample set, and then we have our vocal sample. And if I play now,
do you think your wife killed herself? By one of you. Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered.
This is where scaling comes in handy for the volume. So
no. murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered.
Excuse me.
By
And then
one
we
of
can
you.
go make some
Do you
adjustments.
think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
So one more quick instrument we'll add just to give you another idea. So
By one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
add in a drum machine.
She was
Add
murdered.
in, let's add in, say,
By one of you.
I don't know.
Do you think your wife killed
Let's add
herself?
in loop mix,
No. She was murdered
audio scope,
by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
post fader,
No. She was murdered
and
by one of
I'll tell you one other good
Do
thing
you
this
think
is
your
for.
wife killed herself?
Also, it's good for, you can set up, if you set up a couple of these in a master channel, you can use it to compare or match the EQ to any other track sort of thing. That's really handy if you want to try and match the EQ curve to, say, another piece of music or what have you. Right, let's just add in this. We need to give it something to do. Let's just see. I'm going to say, let's just maybe, just let me play something and get something going.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered
Awesome. Right, there we go.
by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
Let's go in.
No. She
Audio.
was murdered
Right, we're already selected. Let's
by
go
one
to
of you.
mix.
She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
Loop mix.
She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
Make sure you're
Murdered
selected
By one of
as
you.
well before you
Do you
start
think your
moving
wife
stuff
killed
around.
herself?
So
no
otherwise, you'll
She
move
was
it
murdered.
wherever you are on the screen. So
by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was.
there you go. Total game changer of an app. Considering you can use this in Cubasis, you can use it in GarageBand. GarageBand hasn't even really got a proper mixer, so this is gonna be super helpful for people to use GarageBand. Anyway, guys, listen. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're watching this on a premiere, thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you're watching at any other time, thank you. All you need to do is spend your time, set up your mix properly. You can, and then you can play around with it to your heart's content. You can make different snapshots. You can just use it to actually mix and master the track, especially in things like GarageBand that don't have that option easily available. Anyway, I'm just gonna play around with this for a little bit while you say ta-ra to each other if you're watching on a premiere. Thank you very, very much, and I will see you all very soon. Oh, please strike the like if you like the video. Subscribe, consider becoming a Patreon and making a super thanks or a super chat. I'm pretty sure that AudioScope is going to be featuring in a lot of videos coming up once it's released. I don't have an exact date for release, but it will be soon, I would imagine. And I will definitely be using it because it's super fab for things like this, for my kind of sessions in AUM. It's epic. Here we go. So let's, just for fun, let's set, I'll close the mic, but let's just set up some mixes and things and then just play around with it.
Murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
She was murdered.
Do you think your wife killed herself? Do you think your wife killed herself?
By one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
By one of you.
Do you think your wife killed herself?
No. She was murdered by one of you.